It's all about the magical fruit today in the sartorial kitchen. That's right, beans, the white kind. I'm kicking things off with a Greek version of a white bean salad with feta and a lemon vinaigrette. Then I'm doing a white bean hummus with toasted pita. And last but not least, a classic French cassoulette with all the trimmings. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me? Welcome back, everybody. Yes, today's episode is all about beans. What inspired this menu? Well, I was at the grocer. I happened down the aisle with the canned foods, and I saw that they had cannellini beans 10 for 10. And I said, you know what, I bet I could do an entire menu on beans, so that is exactly what we are going to do. So I'm starting my large skillet here. This is a cassoulette that we are making. I'm starting it first because it's like a stew. It needs to cook down for a while and really let those flavors develop. And while that happens, we can visit our other dishes. So I've got a couple tablespoons of butter there, a couple tablespoons of oil. Butter gives us the flavor, oil gives us the cooking temp, and I'm just going to let that do its thing while we prep our veggies. So I've got a large white sweet onion here. Just cut that in half. Then we can peel back that skin. I always leave the hairy bit on because that will keep the onion intact while we dice it up. And the onion is pretty easy. You just follow the lines. I know you've seen me butcher an onion before. Just come in sideways, and then we come in long ways. And then we come straight down like that, and we get nice little diced pieces of onion. Alright, there is our onion there. If you want, you can kind of come in here and give it a little dice. I like my onion kind of fine, finely minced. Alright, that should be good. We'll just pick up our whole cutting board here and slide that right in. Beautiful. Grab our stragglers here. And hit it with some salt. A couple teaspoons. Teaspoon of pepper. Get our seasonings going. That salt is also going to pull the moisture out of these onions and allow them to get nice and soft and tender. They'll release those juices and just get nice and reduced. Let those cook down. While that happens, we'll prep our garlic. Now I usually use jarred garlic, as you all well know, but for a dish like this, fresh really is better. Now, half of this is going into a hummus that I'm making next, because we are taking a tour of the Mediterranean. And if you haven't picked up, we're starting in France. Cassoulette is a classic French stew of sorts. And the garlic, smash the bulb to get the cloves. And then we smash the clove. You can either take the back of your palm, or you can take the knife. And then that skin comes right off. And I think I went 4, maybe 5 cloves. All right, now we can mince this garlic up, and guys, I just love the smell of minced garlic. And then what I do is I just come in here, slice it first, just get nice little wedges. then we can come in and mince it up. Garlic is really strong, so you want to make sure it's well minced. Nobody wants to bite into a big hunk of garlic. Alright, there is our garlic. Something about fresh garlic, it's just so aromatic. We'll wait to add that because the garlic does not take long at all. It will burn if we add it too soon. And we continue to let these onions cook down a little longer. I like them nice and soft and caramelized. Oh yeah, those onions look beautiful. I'm going to add in my garlic now. That was about 5 cloves. And we'll give this a quick stir. And again, the garlic does not take long. So I want to just give it a little stir. About 1 minute to 2 minutes tops, if that even. You want to catch it before it burns. As soon as it hits that skillet, it's so aromatic, flavorful. All right, we got just a little bit of color on our garlic. I'm going to come in with my pancetta. So cassoulette, usually a pork product. Some kind of pancetta I like. That's Italian bacon. You can use whatever you like. I try to stay away from like your hickory smoked or your applewood smoked because that smoke flavor can overpower everything else here. And I've got about 2 packages because I want this to be a nice hearty stew. And then we're just going to stir this in. The pancetta is going to crisp up, and then some of these fatty pieces are going to reduce and just give us a nice, flavorful stew here. Just about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. It's diced pretty finely and it's cured. So we just need that fat to bring it down for us a little bit. All right, that is rendered nicely. Got some nice crispy pork pieces. You can see that fat has come down. Beautiful. Continue to bring our layers of flavor together. Got some white cooking wine here. It's going to be about a half cup, maybe a little less. And we'll let that cook down and just let that flavor really reduce and get nice and intense. Oh, that smells delicious. I just get that hint of grape. It's not too strong. And then a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. I really want that nice, rich, concentrated tomato flavor. And that I'm just going to kind of break down and just kind of melt that into our white wine there. It's going to give us a nice little color. Oh, that's so good. Now we are ready to add our beans. I'm going to do a couple cans of beans here. So again, I want this to be nice and hearty. You can use any kind of beans you like. I just happen to see these are on sale. Cannellini are one of my favorite beans. I really like white beans. I'm going to do your darker beans. I'm going to drain some of that liquid. It's okay if a little of it stays behind because it's got those starches from the beans in it. And that's going to help thicken this up for us. So I'm going to dump those in. And the same with these. Beautiful. And just dump those out. I think 2 cans is going to be enough. Alright, I'm going to turn that down a little. I'm I'm going to just give this a little stir to begin with, just so the beans get coated in all that loveliness that we've already got going on in here. Yes, that is beautiful. And let's jazz this up a bit, and then we'll set it and forget it. All right, so we're going to come in here. I'm using veggie broth. You can use any kind of broth you like. The whole container. So it's going to be about 4 cups, give or take. And again, just kind of stir that around. A few other things. A sprig of rosemary. I'm just leaving it whole so I can pull it out later. That flavor is going to seep into there. This is a dehydrated soup mix. It's got some red peppers and carrots and things. I'm going to about a half cup of that, or I'm sorry, 4th cup. There's a rehydrate. There's some dried herbs in there too. Some oregano and some thyme. So I want this to be very flavorful. And some ham pieces. These are leg bones. They're frozen. I use them. You can reuse them several times. What I also like about the bones is that collagen, and it melts down into there and just makes this really luscious. And then I'm going to let that come to a boil, and then when it does, I'm going to turn it down to a low simmer, and we're going to cover it and just let that do its thing. And while it does, we can move on to our salad. All right, that has just come to a boil. I forgot to mention bay leaves as well. I put a couple dried bay leaves in there, and then I'm just going to cover this like I said. We'll turn the handle so it's out of our way. And that I'm going to turn down to medium-low heat, and I'm just going to let that go. The longer the better. I'd say at least an hour. That'll give us time to get through our other 2 dishes, and then we'll come check on this and give it a taste. So, next is going to be a Mediterranean white bean salad. This is a Greek-style preparation. I thought it would be fun not to just do one type of bean, but to have different cuisines of bean. So starting with my lemon here. Roll that to release the juices. I'm going to zest this a little bit. If you juice it, use the zest. The zest really has all that flavor. It's going to give a nice floral quality to our dressing. I'm starting with the dressing first. I love doing the dressings because you can stir the dressing in the bowl and just dump everything on top of it and then fold it all together. And it's just kind of like a one-pot meal. Not too much zest, just about half this lemon. I always check for stragglers, so that's going to be good. And then let me get my juicer out. This thing comes in handy. We're just going to cut that lemon in half and just come in here and give that a nice squeeze. We need the juice of about 1 whole lemon. That should be about 1/4 of a cup or so, depending on the size of the lemon. If you want, you can buy a thing of like lemon juice, but I think the fresh is always better. Plus, I'd love to have the zest. All right, so we'll discard that, and then we'll go to our other lemon here. Oh yeah, lots of juice there. Beautiful. And to that, it's going to be about equal parts of olive oil, a simple vinaigrette, just oil to vinegar ratio. You can measure it out if you want. I just kind of look until it's diluted the acid I'm working with, which in this case is lemon. But you can use any kind of vinegar you like, distilled white, red wine, apple cider. For some sweetness, we're going to add a little honey here, a couple tablespoons. I think a dressing should be well balanced, sweet and savory. Excuse me. All right, let's season this baby up. A nice, generous teaspoon of salt, about half a teaspoon of black pepper, some of my jarred garlic. This time we will use the jarred stuff since we're not cooking it. I like that this is a little more, not quite as pronounced. A good teaspoon, teaspoon and a half of that. And don't be afraid to get some of that garlic oil too, because that's where the flavor is. And then a few different things here. Some dried oregano. I always like the dried, the fresh is too strong. And then we just give it a little rub between our hands to wake up those oils. About a teaspoon or so of that. And then I've also got some dill here, some dried dill. Just a little pinch of the dill. And we'll give it a little whisk. Just to have all those flavors incorporated together. What's nice is that honey kind of emulsifies this. So you get a nice consistency. Then I'll come in and give it a little taste to make sure I've got my flavors where I want them. Nice and acidic. I think we need just a little more oil. And we should be good. Okay, time for the rest of our fillers. First off, more cannellini beans. You guessed it. Now this time I do not want any of that liquid. So I'm going to just give it a little rinse. That's going to dilute the flavor of our dressing. So I want to be a little more careful about getting that liquid off of there. That's going to go right in. And same with our red peppers. I do not want any of that preserving liquid in my dressing. And then we can take these off. These are just roasted red peppers. You can add whatever kind of veggies you like. If you like tomatoes, cucumbers. I don't want to go too complex. And we're kind of out of season for fresh veggies, so I like things that can well, like peppers and olives. And then the olives, just to make sure I get all that liquid off of there. Good. And we'll just come in here, chop up our peppers. They should lay nice and flat for you. And then we just go to sticks and dice those. So I cut it into strips, and then I'll come in here again and just cut it into dices. I want everything to be relatively similar in size so it eats the same with each bite. And then we'll just come in here and get the rest of this cut up here. And the last of our pepper here. Alright, that's looking really good, guys. And then our olives. I'm going to chop these up as well, just because they're a little big compared to the size of our beans. So I think I'm just going to have these. You can use any kind of olives you like. I like cotton olives. I like the color. I think they're meatier. But any olives will do. Okay, there's the last of our olives. I think we're done with this guy. I'm just going to come in here with a spoon and give this a little toss in that dressing so it all comes together. I've got just a couple more things I want to add, but I'm going to wait to do that until this is well mixed. So for some color, I've got some dried parsley here. Of course, I would prefer fresh, but given the time of year, it's hard to find good fresh herbs. And then I just kind of crumble it up. This is parsley from out of my garden that has been dehydrated. And then I also got some feta here. This is a garlic and herb flavored feta. I thought it would be a little more interesting. And the feta is also going to add a nice salty note. I'm only going to do about half this container of feta, and then I'll have some for another day. I wait to add the feta because feta is a fragile cheese and it breaks apart easily. So I wait to add it until I've already got everything well mixed. And there we have it. Greek bean pasta. Let's give it a taste, shall we? Does this not look appetizing or what? So I'm just gonna come in here, make sure I get a good bite of everything. Bon appetit. Oh yeah. Very good. I love the feta. It gives you a nice salty bite. All the other veggies are give you a nice little texture. That dressing, it's sweet, it's acidic. So good. I get all those herbs. Let me clean this up, and then we will move on to our hummus. All right, time for a little hummus. So I've got the last 2 cans of my cannellini beans in my food processor here. I saved the liquid from one of the cans because that liquid's going to help us make a nice puree. And then I've got some tahini paste here. So tahini, what is tahini? It is like peanut butter but made with sesame. And like your organic peanut butter, there is a lot of like liquid on top. So I'm just giving this a nice little stir because I want that rich, nutty tahini flavor. I don't want just that liquid on top. And I think that looks pretty good, actually. And I need about a half cup. I'm just going to kind of eyeball that. I can always add a little more if we need to. The tahini I like. It has a really nice tang to it. They roast the sesame and it just gets really condensed. Now, if you don't like tahini, almond butter's good. Cashew butter if you can find it. I would avoid straight peanut butter because that's going to overpower the flavors that we're going for here. And then I also need some lemon. This time we're just juicing it. I'm going to roll it really good to really release a lot of those oils in there. And just give that a nice little slice in half. I'm going to squirt that right into here. We need about 4 tablespoons, so that should be about 1 lemon. And our other lemon here. It's beautiful. We're done with our juicer. My fresh garlic, the rest of that. About 4 to 5 cloves, depending on the size of the cloves. Now this we don't have to mince because our food processor is going to do the work for us, but I'm just going to smash it up to get it out of the skin. We don't want garlic skins in our hummus. And just kind of pull off the ends there and just throw that straight in. If you want to chop it up a little, you can, but you really don't need to because the food processor is going to do all the work. All right. There is our garlic. We will need some olive oil, and then we're going to season this baby up. About a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon and a half, 3/4 teaspoon of pepper, a little crushed red pepper for some heat, and just like with the oregano earlier, I'm going to kind of run this through my hands to kind of wake up those oils, and then just right into there. And then we are ready to pulse this baby up. And then what I'm going to do is slowly drizzle in my olive oil until I see the consistency that I like. Then we'll give it a little taste and make sure it's good. All right, that's starting to look really good. And I'm just going to go ahead and start drizzling in my olive oil. And just let this run. I don't want it pureed, I want it to have a little texture still. But I want it to kind of be broken down nicely and make sure that garlic is broken up. And that's starting to look really good. If you have to, you can add a little water to this as well, just to get the consistency you want. Okay, let's check this out. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Thinned, but not too thick. I think we got those garlic pieces good. So we are ready to serve this up, and I will show you how I do that. Okay, so I got a little bowl here and a little plate. What I'm going to do is carefully pour some of that hummus into my plate, my bowl here. I've got a little left, that's fine. Then you can kind of adorn this however you like. You want to put some cannolis or pine nuts. I like a little color. So I got some chives here. I'm going to kind of sprinkle on for some color. I'm also going to do a little more of my red pepper flake. Just a little. And then it's always customary to finish with a little drizzle of olive oil. And what are we dipping into this? Some pita chips. And I think they're ready to come out now. Grab my mitten here. Nice toasted pita chips. I will show you how I organize that now. First, I took a package of pita chips and cut them into equal-sized triangles. Doused them with a generous amount of olive oil, tossed them by hand, and threw them into my toaster oven at a medium heat for about 5 to 6 minutes. And then what I like to do, I just take the pita and just arrange it so along the plate here. And then while the pita is still good and hot, I like to come in with a little finishing salt. And this is ready to dig in. Does this not look like a very inviting appetizer platter? I think so. Let's just come here and get a little taste. We come in and scoop a good amount of that hummus. Oh, that's so good. Nice and nutty. A little zing from the lemon. Just a tinge of heat, not too much. I love the olive oil. It's like butter. And then the pita's nice and crisp. That's absolutely delicious, guys. I would love to top this off, but we have a cassoulette taste, so stay tuned. Okay, let's pull the lid off of this baby. So this has technically been cooking for about an hour and a half. You can see that ham bone's gotten nice and tender. So we've got some good flavor going on there. Our liquid has reduced nicely. Everything is soft and tender. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. And then I'm gonna come in here with some tongs. I'm gonna pull out my bones here. Plenty of meat on these babies so they can live to stew another day. I'm also gonna pull out my bay leaves. There should be 3. There we go. And our sprig of thyme, it's served its purpose. And then we'll just give this a little taste. I always wait to add my seasonings on this because the pork is very salty, so you risk over salting the dish. Oh guys, this smells amazing. Ooh, that's so good. I am going to just finish it with a little salt and a little pepper. Just give that one more last stir. Oh god, that looks so good. Okay, I think we're ready to plate out. I'm just gonna come in here with a ladle, scoop that right out. Oh yes, it looks so good. And then I'm gonna get a little of that liquid here. That's where all the flavor is. And then we can finish it off with a little more of my parsley here just to give it some color. And there we have it, my cassoulet in here, and give this a nice taste. And I just love how soft the beans have become. You can even see like these little bits of carrot have reconstituted. It's really hot, so we're gonna give it a little gentle blow. Ooh, yes. So that tomato broth that we put together with the paste and the white wine just has really become nice and enriched. I'm immediately getting that salty pork note. Getting a little texture from the onions, the carrots, that pancetta. Oh, guys. This is a nice hearty stew. I do say so myself. Perfect for this time of year. We've been having a lot of snow and things, and this will warm you up. So I'm going to finish up here. But I thank you for joining me in the kitchen as always. Hit me up in the comments section. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, bon appetit.